Welcome to Walking His Way podcast, where we'll analyze some of the instructions and precepts that Jesus gave us to teach each other if we choose to follow His way. My name is Don Fanning. Quest for greatness and fame and popularity and money and power are often pretty corrupting in the personality and the way people develop themselves. Follow God's way, however, and things turn out quite differently. In fact, you end up being a better person and much more content in this life than any other way. Let's find the secret. Well, Peter wrote about it this way in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 6. He says this. He says, "And God will exalt you in due time if you humble yourselves under his mighty hand." Well, that's a pretty big step to take, and sometimes it's a challenge. But the quest for significance drives many to be the best and the most important or admired or powerful or famous, and Lord help us if when they succeed. The command in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 6 is the opposite of everything our culture tells us that we need to be happy. The connective "and" that joins this to a previous verse that says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. 1 Peter 5:5. Now our verse literally means it's wiser to immediately decide to humble yourself, which means to take a low or assign yourself a lower rank below others who are honored and rewarded. Or it also means to submit yourselves in a lowly spirit to the power and the will of God. Basically, it means to make others more important than yourself and to make them more successful than yourself. Powerful goal that'll change your personality. Instead of striving to be in total control of our lives and destinies, the aorist imperative verb demands an urgent decision to submit to whatever God's will permits, whenever he commands it. We must make an internal commitment, that is from the heart, to trust in the mighty hand of God, to engineer the circumstances and timing that he deems best for his purposes and for ours. Jesus taught us the importance of this principle when he said, "Everyone who lifts himself up will be humbled, and everyone who humbles himself will be lifted up." Luke chapter 14, verse 11. Kind of an oxymoron, just the opposite of what you think. Humility doesn't mean depreciating or running down your self-worth or making it out like you're not worth anything. On the contrary, in God's plan, you're worth an extreme investment of his own energies in his own life. He gave his life to redeem your life. You're a valuable person. We must decide, however, that our personal needs, desires, and interests and ambitions will take a lower priority while we make the needs of others our primary mission in life. That's the gist of Philippians chapter 2, verses 2 to 4. One of the greatest compositive verses for the Christian life that I ever remember. In this context, a God-centered, self-humbling process occurs when one ceases to want to control his life and let God have full control. Things just begin to happen differently. The next verse says, "Cast all your care upon him, for he cares for you." That's chapter 5, verse 7. These imperative participles describe the means of this humbling process. It's humbling to let God have control and to put others before yourself. But that is just the secret of life. It is vain to believe that you can run your own life better than God can, and that you can meet your own needs and desires better than God can. Quite arrogant. It is often humiliating to become totally dependent on God's interventions in order for you to survive or to accomplish whatever your goals are. But God's way towards exaltation is to give up that control Can you trust His mighty hand to provide for you in His own time and His own way? Will you take on a lowly task for God that benefits others, even though few may see it? You won't believe what the results will be. Pray like this: Lord, my ego is so deceptive that I tend to think of my own importance and what I think I deserve in life more than the importance of others and what I can give to them. Teach me, Lord, to be humbled and not try to manipulate others to give to me. Well, thank you for listening, and I hope that this has at least been a challenge to your own way of thinking. However much we move in this direction in our life, the richer our life will be and the greater respect that people will have for you. Your desires in life will be met not by worldly means, but God's way is always best. Be sure to follow me on this broadcast as we look at more principles of successful living as we walk His way.